Hello, everyone. I'm the horror movie guy, and this is the fourth part of ranking all the horror movie franchises with the horror movie Uncle.
Hello.
And the first movie on today's list is Dracula.
Yeah. Um, well, actually, I just wanted to jump in and say that I just recently rewatched the Night of the Demons movies
Oh, yeah.
for Halloween because they all take place on Halloween. So, gonna move it up from Don't Remember to See.
To see. Alright.
But yeah, okay, so Dracula. You have not seen
I've
any
not seen.
Draculas?
Well, I've seen the new one, the Renfield.
Renfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be
kind of Dracula.
considered, but
yeah.
well, what did you think of Renfield?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, Dracula, there's a lot of movies that really could be considered Dracula. You know, the original Universal Monsters Dracula, there's the Hammer Horror Dracula, there's Bram Stoker's Dracula from the 90s. There's quite a few. But, I mean, if we're taking it in as a whole, I would say B.
B. Alright. Now we have House of Dark Shadows.
Okay, House of Dark Shadows is kind of interesting because Dark Shadows was originally a daytime soap opera that aired in the 70s. And then there was House of Dark Shadows, which was the film version of that. And then in the 2010s, I believe, Tim Burton made a film version of Dark Shadows, which had Johnny Depp in it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tim Burton version, but I have seen a few episodes of the soap opera version, and I did see House of Dark Shadows, and I liked it. So I would say B.
B. Alright. Next we got Birdemic.
Birdemic. Yeah, so a little bit of an explanation on Birdemic. Birdemic is one of those movies that it's in the so bad it's good category. Very low budget, very cheesy, very bad special effects. There's three movies. The most recent movie came out, I think, just last year. But Birdemic, you're either going to like it for being kind of fun, so bad it's good, or you're going to absolutely hate it. I personally appreciate what it is and what it's trying to do, but at the same time, I would only give it to D.
D. Alright. Next we have Bikini Bloodbath.
Haven't seen.
Nah, me either. Now we got House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay. So House of a Thousand Corpses as a franchise would be considered House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and then most recently Three from Hell. So to explain a little bit about it, the original House of a Thousand Corpses is sort of a little bit of a takeoff of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. People go to like a roadside haunted attraction, and then they're lured to a house, and it's sort of similar. Goes to similar plot to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then in The Devil's Rejects, it really does follow the family from A House of a Thousand Corpses as they're sort of hunted by the law. And then in Three from Hell, the family escapes from prison and goes down to Mexico. As far as House of a Thousand Corpses, the original film House of a Thousand Corpses is very good. The Devil's Rejects is quite possibly one of the best horror movies of the 2000s. Three from Hell is not great, but it's not terrible. So I would put it in A, actually.
now we have Wolf Creek.
Okay, Wolf Creek, which you had
I've
not seen. Okay, so Wolf Creek, it is an Australian horror movie. There is a sequel, but it's about a group of tourists who go to see the Australian outback, and they kind of get lost. And there is sort of a backwoods type Australian version of a hillbilly that finds them, and you can kind of guess where it goes from there. It is gory, but it's kind of fun. I would say B.
B. All right. Next we have The Boy, which I have seen.
And I have not seen.
I've seen the first Boy movie, but I've not seen the sequel. Based on the first one, it stars Lauren Cohan, which is Maddie in The Walking Dead, and
It's kind of like Child's Play, isn't it?
it's kind of like Child's Play, but not. So I'll probably put it in C. I don't really want to give it away because there's a big spoiler at the end, but it's okay. It's nothing special.
Yeah.
Next we have Creep.
I have not seen it. It's one that I've meant to see, but I just haven't.
Me either. Now we have Whalebend.
It's Malevolence.
Oh, Malevolence. I thought it was
Malevolence. Malevolence is kind of an interesting low budget horror movie from the 2000s. It is sort of a throwback to sort of John Carpenter slasher type movies. And then there was a sequel made called Benevolent, I think is the name of the sequel. And then there's Malevolence Part 3. I've only ever seen the first two, but the first one, Malevolence, is really quite good. I'd say B.
B. Alright. And there we go. Now we have Grizzly.
Haven't seen it.
Me either. Next we have The Babysitter.
Which you've seen,
I've
right?
seen The Babysitter, yep. I've seen both of them. The first one I actually love. The first one's great, but the sequel's okay.
I actually had a lot of fun with the Babysitter movies.
Yeah.
They're on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Really shouldn't spoil it because you should just watch it.
Yeah.
But they're a lot of fun. So where would you?
I'd put it in A.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Alright, now we have Hollow Man.
Hollow Man, to be honest, I didn't even know there was anything past the first one. Hollow Man is a little bit of a takeoff on the original Universal monster movie, The Invisible Man, but with a little bit more of a science type slant to it. It stars Kevin Bacon. It's okay at best. I would say D.
D. Alright. Next we got See No Evil.
See No Evil is a movie that I saw when it originally came out, but I do not remember anything about it.
Alright. Now we have Grave Encounters.
Yeah, Grave Encounters is a found footage movie from the, I think, mid to late 2000s. It's another one that I did not know there was a sequel of. It is a pretty standard found footage movie. There's not anything really spectacular about it. I would say D.
D. Alright. Now we have Dead Snow.
I hadn't seen it.
Now we have Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot. Have you seen Salem's Lot?
I've not seen Salem's Lot.
You should see Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is a Stephen King novel adaptation that was originally a TV movie. It's pretty long. the original one. Um, it's kind of hard to explain. It's sort of about vampires, but there's a little bit of a question of whether or not the creatures in it are actually vampires. It's really well made. Um, the sequel, uh, not really all that great, but the original is pretty good. So I would say C.
C. Alright. It's a lot of work just to put it in
Yeah.
C. Now we have Witchboard.
Witchboard, which you have
I've not seen.
not seen. Okay. Witchboard is another movie that I know that I've seen, but I don't remember.
Now we have Don't Breathe.
Don't Believe, which is, I'm guessing you have not seen.
I've not seen.
Okay. Don't Breathe is a sort of a reverse home invasion type movie, if that makes sense to people. I'd rather not spoil the movie because there's a spoiler in there. It's decent, but you're not going to really see anything in there that you haven't seen in other home invasion movies. So I would say D.
D. Alright. Now we have House.
House. House is kind of interesting. It is sort of like what you would think it is. It is about a haunted house. The original has George Wendt in it, who was Norm from Cheers. It's kind of comedic. It's kind of fun. I don't recall if I've seen any of the sequels, but the original is pretty cool. I would say B.
B. Alright. There you go. Now we have The Messengers.
Haven't seen it.
A lot of don't sees, like all of these. The Stepfather.
The Stepfather, which you have
I've
not seen. You should see The Stepfather. Anyway, The Stepfather is a slasher movie about a stepfather who integrates himself into a family, and then when the family doesn't sort of live up to the expectations of like the the 1950s Leave It to Beaver type family, then he sort of goes crazy. But this is a really, really good franchise. All of the entries in this franchise, including the 2000s remake. The original stars Terry O'Quinn, and then the 2000s remake stars Dylan Walsh, and he was in the show Nip Tuck, if you guys know that show. But this is a really, really good franchise, you guys. I'd say A.
A? Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, now we have Chud.
Chud. I don't remember exactly what Chud stands for off the top of my head, but Chud is about, there's these monsters that live in the sewers of some big city. It's either New York or Chicago. I don't remember which one. But it's decent. I'd say C.
C. Alright. And now for this next one, we're not going to be saying the name.
Yeah, we're not going to be saying the name or describing the plot. It just goes in F.
Yeah.
Don't look it up unless you'll know by the title whether or not you want to watch that movie, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, now we have The Prophecy.
The Prophecy. The Prophecy is about Christopher Walken plays the angel Gabriel, I do believe. If I am getting him mixed up with a different angel, people can correct me. But he's playing the angel Gabriel, and he is sort of like an evil angel in it. And it's got a pretty decent cast because it also has Viggo Mortensen in it, who plays the devil. But yeah, there are the original 3 films that star Christopher Walken, and then there are 2 other films, which, again, similar to what I said in the first episode about the Dusk Till Dawn franchise, the 2 latter sequels, you kind of have to know a little bit about direct to DVD horror movies from the late 90s and early 2000s to really understand Prophecy 4 and 5. But on the strength of the original 3 films with Christopher Walken, I think B.
B. All right. Now we have Darkman.
Darkman. This is another one which I don't really think belongs in the category of horror. It's more of a superhero movie. Sam Raimi directed the original thing, starring Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson plays a guy who gets horribly burned, and then he figures out a way to use his powers to fight off the people who burned him. I have seen the second and the third one in the Darkman movies, but I'm a little bit hazy about exactly what they are. The original is good. I'd say C.
C. All right, now we're down to our last 8 movies out of like the 100.
Just, have you seen any of these ones in this row?
The Quiet Place.
You've seen A Quiet Place. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay.
The Toxic Avenger.
The Toxic Avenger. Yeah, The Toxic Avenger is a series that is from Troma, which some of you might be familiar with Troma. Troma is a little bit similar to Full Moon, but yeah, I don't have time to go into the full history of Troma, but The Toxic Avenger is sort of a cross between a horror movie franchise and a superhero movie franchise. This guy who falls into, or through some happenstance, gets toxic waste spilled on him, becomes a superhero, and then he becomes like a vigilante superhero. It's gross, it's funny, it's very politically incorrect, especially by today's standards, but it's a lot of fun. I'd say A.
A, alright. Such a process trying to get this.
Yeah.
A. Alright. Now we have Waxwork.
Waxwork is a late 80s, early 90s franchise. 2 movies in that. The original movie is about sort of a... if you guys are at all familiar with like Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, it's a little bit like that in that there is a wax museum that features, sort of famous movie monsters like Dracula and the Wolfman, and then a few other things like that come to life. And then the sequel is really off the wall. It contains like time travel and like medieval type stuff. It's really, really crazy. But they're both pretty good. I'd say B.
B. Alright. B. That's B, I think.
Yeah.
Now we have Contracted.
Contracted is a movie that, again, I didn't know was a franchise at all. Contracted is, it pretty much is what it says on the tin there. Contracted, about a disease. It is not that great. It is an F.
Alright, now we have Chrome Skull.
Yeah, Chrome Skull. That is a weird one. It is about a killer that stalks a woman who is sort of blind, like legally blind, not 100% blind. Um, and it's got some really, really good special effects as far as like the gore effects and the kills and everything. And then in the sequel, you find out that the killer is actually backed by an organization, and it becomes really kind of convoluted. But the real draw of this franchise is the makeup effects and the kills and everything. Overall, it's not all that great, but D.
D. All right. Extra.
Extra. I have seen one of the Extra movies, but I do not remember which one it is. It's yeah, just gonna have to put it
Okay.
in. Yeah.
Now down to our last three.
Our last three.
The Invisible Man.
All right, The Invisible Man. Now there is an original Universal Monster Invisible Man. There was a movie in the 90s, I believe, directed by John Carpenter and starring Chevy Chase. That was an Invisible Man movie. And then there was one made a few years ago that was a little bit more of a modern take on the Invisible Man. Not my favorite of the Universal. I'd say D.
D. All right. Tales from the Hood.
Tales from the Hood. I've not seen.
You've not seen. And now for our last movie out of like the 100 or so. I mean, you can see there's a lot. Is A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Which I have seen. I've seen both movies. The first one's great. The first one I really like. Sequel, not that good.
Yeah, the sequel, I think this is a pretty well-known one. I think probably most people have seen it. The original is really good, but yeah, the sequel is not all that great.
Probably C.
Yeah, C. All right.
Yeah.
Did you want to go through the S tier ones?
Let's just go back through the S tier. So these are just our top tier: Friday the 13th, The Evil Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street, Alien, Puppet Master, Final Destination, Halloween, Child's Play, Night of the Living Dead, Poltergeist, Subspecies, Scream, It, Black Christmas, Ghostbusters, and The Shining.
Yeah, all worth your time. Let's just really quick go through the A.
Yeah, these two.
The Exorcist, The Fly, Phantasm, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Tremors, Jaws, The Return of the Living Dead, Hellraiser, Psycho, Gremlins, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Jurassic Park, not a horror, but still A.
Still good.
Happy Death Day, The Dentist, 28 Days Later, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Babysitter, The Stepfather, and The Toxic Avenger.
Alright.
So
yeah, and then definitely all of these worth your time.
Yeah.
These if you want to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely watch The Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah, watch The Ginger Dead Man.
And Leprechaun.
Yeah. And then also, just so we're clear, we're ranking these as a franchise, not the individual movies. So if some of these, like The Thing or The Exorcist, even though they might be in B or A, they definitely, as like an individual movie, would be S tier. But we're looking at it as a franchise. The Omen or Reanimator especially. But yeah.
And this is our opinion too. So like, if you're like, oh, The Thing should definitely be S tier, then like that's your opinion. We care about your opinions, but this is just our opinions. So yeah, this is our list. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Comment if any of these movies should be higher up, and comment if you want the horror movie Uncle to come back for another video. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.